Welcome back. Last week we looked at my most anticipated attractions from around the world, numbers 50 through 26. This week we are looking at my top 25, where some of the most incredible looking attractions are from around the world. While this list does have dark rides on it, there are mainly roller coasters, as dark rides by nature are harder to judge until you've ridden them, and a POV just doesn't do them justice. Nevertheless, some incredible looking dark rides do make this list, especially as we get closer to the top spots. Now let's get back into the list. Just north of Salt Lake City is an independent park, Lagoon. While most of the roller coasters of this park are pretty fun looking but nothing special, Cannibal, their in-house built 208-foot tall monstrosity, is worth the trip to the park alone. There is almost nothing conventional about this roller coaster. Starting off with an elevator lift, Cannibal forgoes the traditional chain lift and lifts you up to the top of the insane looking roller coaster. Once at the top, you creep closer and closer to the formal US's steepest drop at 116 degrees, 208 feet down. Hypercoasters are not that rare, however having a roller coaster that focuses on inversions and breaking the drop steepness record while cracking the 200-foot barrier is just unheard of. The steepness record was not the only thing Lagoon went for. This roller coaster is the only one to have the Lagoon roll. This is where the train begins to invert, and just when it's almost done completing its roll, it begins to roll right back. While it's not rare to have a one-of-a-kind inversion on a roller coaster, this one looks to be the most fun looking if I'm being honest. While I'm typically in the Salt Lake City area to enjoy activities such as skiing, Cannibal alone is a good enough reason for me to visit Salt Lake City in the summertime to ride this monstrosity of a roller coaster. Hong Kong Disneyland is home to one of the most state-of-the-art dark rides in the industry. When wanting to come up with an attraction that fills in the role of the Haunted Mansion, Disney ran into issues where it's extremely taboo in Chinese cultures to depict death in this way. So Imagineers came up with Mystic Manor, which takes you into an elderly gentleman's home to see his prized possessions. However, Albert opens up a magical musical box and everything inside the manor comes alive. To see set pieces that look to be made of stone as it's depicted and then come alive and move in a way that's impossible for stone, this truly does look like real life magic. The use of projections are used masterfully to make the portraits and other objects come to life inside the manor. For any fans of the Haunted Mansion, you will see plenty of nods towards the original attraction, paying beautiful homage to the Mystic Manor's inspiration. Mystic Manor looks to be such a fun and charming attraction, where some say it's Disney's best dark ride. Personally, I don't see it ranking at the top for me, but nevertheless, this attraction along with Big Grizzly Mountain Runaway mine cars makes Hong Kong Disneyland look like such a worthwhile destination. Growing up, I would spend many of my summer days at my former home park of Carowinds. Located now next to the world-renowned Fury 325 is the extremely lackluster roller coaster, Hurler. While Carowinds' Hurler is unfortunately still there today, Carowinds' sister park, King's Dominion, who also had a clone of Hurler, took matters into their own hands in 2018. Once again allowing RMC to come in and do their magic, Hurler becomes Twisted Timbers, which truly blows the original roller coaster out of the water. Just like most RMC roller coasters, Twisted Timbers focus on ejector airtime as well as having unique inversions sprinkled throughout the layout. Starting off with a barrel roll off its first drop, this sets up the roller coaster for having one aggressive layout. After the overbank turnaround, Twisted Timbers hits you with 3 large and extremely forceful ejector airtime hills in a row, looking to try its hardest to buck you off the roller coaster. As the roller coaster continues to make its lap around the structure, along with smaller but still aggressive airtime hills, the coaster has plenty of twisted track all the way into the brake run. King's Dominion and RMC really hit it out of the park with this conversion. Now, let's hope Carowinds will do something similar with their aging and lackluster Hurler. Nagashima Spotland in Japan is home to some pretty solid looking lineup of roller coasters. They are home to one of the world's 7 giga coasters with the massive Steel Dragon 2000, the world's longest roller coaster. However, what really draws me to Nagashima Spotland is arguably the most aesthetically pleasing roller coaster ever built, Hakugei. With this amazing looking all white structure along with the eye-popping electric blue track, Hakugei is a sight to behold. The way this roller coaster looks is not the only thing that it has going for it, as it looks to be one of the most amazing looking layouts for any RMC. Everything is big about this roller coaster, from the massive first drop to the whippy and forceful looking inversions. Hakugei looks like it could possibly rival other roller coasters like Steel Vengeance for me. When I do make my inevitable trip to Japan, I will for sure have to make a stop at Nagashima Spotland to ride this incredible looking roller coaster. Theming can really carry a ride. However, usually when you have a highly themed attraction, usually the roller coaster is not super thrilling. A park in Germany, Phantasialand is probably my most anticipated park to visit in the world. There are multiple attractions we'll talk about on this list from Phantasialand, but first up is Black Mamba, a B&M invert that is completely surrounded by incredible looking African theming. Like Nemesis, Black Mamba is not that tall, and it hugs its terrain dipping in and out of trenches and tunnels. Only reaching a height of 85 feet, this is the shortest B&M invert in the world. However, this is all it needs to get that initial speed. Then this roller coaster's insane pacing takes over, and for the most part just sticks to being a few feet off the ground through almost its entire layout minus its 4 inversions. You feel like you could really kick the waterfalls or the dirt as you get extremely close to the ground. Currently, I have Expedition Everest as my favorite fully themed roller coaster in the world. And while there are others on this list that I think are even better than Black Mamba, the theming of this ride and the park in general makes it look like there's something really special out there in Germany's Phantasialand and its themed roller coasters. Next, we head to the park with the most roller coasters on the planet for Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Back in 2011, I rode the original Colossus. While that was a solid and fun gargantuan wooden roller coaster, when RMC came in and gave the classic attraction one of the most unique and amazing looking layouts in 2015, I know I had to make my way back to give Magic Mountain another try someday. Instead of having two racing roller coasters, RMC and Magic Mountain decided to have the roller coaster be a Mobius loop layout, which means that the two tracks are really one. As a result, you basically get to ride this twice. Unlike the original, the two tracks are not identical, and each ride on each track will give you a unique experience. Just like any RMC roller coaster, Twisted Colossus is filled with tons of fun inversions and amazing ejector airtime moments. One inversion in particular is one of the most creative and amazing looking in the world. Around halfway through each section of the track, the world's only Top Gun stall gives riders the coolest looking dueling element on any roller coaster, with one side of the track giving ejector airtime through the Camelback Hill, and the other flipping upside down hovering just over the dueling train, mimicking the iconic moment from the film. And this attraction is one of the many reasons why I needed to give Six Flags Magic Mountain another chance, since I've not been back there since 2011. Tokyo Disney Sea is supposed to be one of the best theme parks on the planet. The theming is just on a whole nother level in comparison to even some of the best Disney or Universal parks. In reality, Disney Sea can fill an entire section of my most anticipated parks, but that'll just have to be another video. Disney Sea's flagship attraction, Journey to the Center of the Earth, is widely considered to be one of the best dark rides in the world. Using the same technology as Test Track and Radiator Springs Racers, Journey to the Center of the Earth takes guests through tunnels and amazing rockwork that comes straight from Jules Verne's novel of the same name. While starting out calm and peaceful looking at the natural beauty inside the Earth's crust, just like any great attraction, your leisurely visit takes a more intense turn as the stakes are ramped up. You divert your path due to an earthquake as you head towards bubbling magma. As everything is taking a turn for the worse, you encounter one of the most impressive animatronics in theme park history, just feet away from a massive lava monster. Naturally, the next course of action is to get the hell out of there, where the ride then hits its high-speed finale. The theming and storytelling of this attraction is truly top-notch, making this my most anticipated attraction and already impressive-looking Tokyo Disney Sea. Coming in at number 18, we get two rides in one. Spinning roller coasters have always been lots of fun, but for the most part have only been family roller coasters. Mock Rides asked the question, what if we take spinning roller coasters and make them as intense as a typical roller coaster? You get Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City and Ride to Happiness in Plopsaland. Time Traveler is the prototype to this extreme spinning model opening in 2018. Filled with incredible theming and built on a hill, Time Traveler takes full advantage of Silver Dollar City's terrain. With a 90-degree drop sideways right out of the station, this roller coaster right off the bat tells you that this is going to be something different. After going through a few elements, you make your way to your first launch in what has to be one of the strangest feelings ever, with you spinning around as the launch kicks in. Overall, this roller coaster looks to be a true blast as you spinning around in wacky ways around the Ozarks. A few years later, when Mock Rides was asked to make another extreme spinner, they decided to kick it up a notch and make it even more intense. Plopsaland is a small theme park in Belgium that, like many on this list, you would not expect to have a world-class roller coaster in their park. Just like Time Traveler, Ride to Happiness starts off with a bang, but this time with a JoJo roll instead of a 90-degree drop. Once you hit the launch, Ride to Happiness breaks loose and doesn't let up until you hit the final brake run. Even by looking at the POV, you can tell how Ride to Happiness is more intense than Time Traveler, with more unique and intense elements sprinkled throughout the layout. Both of these roller coasters look like an absolute blast, and I really hope we get to see more of these mock extreme spinners added to other parks around the world. RMC has dominated this list, and will continue to do so, and for good reason. This company makes a lot of insane and fun-looking roller coasters out there. In fact, the next 3 additions to this list will be from RMC. For the next RMC on this list, we head to the Great Smoky Mountains out to Dollywood for their incredible terrain coaster, Lightning Rod. Situated perfectly against a mountain, Lightning Rod starts with a launched lift hill and then dives directly into the valley right behind it. Filled with amazing-looking elements like a massive wave turn and other whippy-looking elements that are just filled with ejector airtime. Lightning Rod is one of the few RMCs out there that does not have any inversions on it. However, it's not needed as the layout just focuses on delivering amazing looking airtime while screaming through the Smoky Mountains. The first half of this roller coaster does look incredible, but the finale is truly why it ranks so high on this list. As the train makes its way back down to the station, to get downhill, Lightning Rod does a quad down, hitting 4 downward sloping hills in a row. This is supposed to be one of the best airtime moments in the world. Along with the high-speed turnaround, Lightning Rod appears to have one of the best layouts of any roller coaster out there, even if it's a little on the short side. San Antonio, Texas is arguably home to the best Six Flags park, Fiesta Texas. In middle school, I went to this amazing park that had many incredible roller coasters, but there was one I really was attached to. Well, because I was a dumb middle schooler and didn't really know what quality was, and just looking at how big it was, that roller coaster was the Rattler. This now thankfully defunct roller coaster was manufactured by the also thankfully defunct Roller Coaster Corporation of America. The original Rattler was massive, ambitious, but also built extremely poorly, and as a result, one of the roughest rides out there. In 2013, RMC once again came in and salvaged an aging and awful wooden roller coaster and turned it into one of the best roller coasters in the United States. Iron Rattler uses the previous layout of the original with scaled quarry walls that surrounded Fiesta Texas, but made the layout much smoother and added plenty of airtime and an inversion. While the more recent RMC creations are more crazy and more intense than Iron Rattler, the integration with the quarry wall is what really draws me to this roller coaster. While on the shorter side like Lightning Rod, this roller coaster takes full advantage of its terrain. Typically, the large first drop would be the drop I'm looking forward to most. However, with Iron Rattler, the drop off the quarry wall into the finale is supposed to be one of the strongest moments of airtime on any roller coaster. Diving off the quarry wall and then shooting into the tunnel blasted into the rock from the original Rattler, this has to be one of the best finales to any roller coaster. Iron Rattler, along with Fiesta Texas's other amazing looking attractions, is why I think this is the best looking Six Flags park, even beating out giants like Magic Mountain. Energylandia is a relatively new theme park only opening in 2014. This park has been aggressively expanding with the current coaster count being all the way up at 17, a count that most major amusement parks are well behind despite existing for decades longer. While not all of the coasters are high quality, one of them is one of the best in the world, Zadra. This ground-up built hyper-hybrid roller coaster is another ambitious and amazing looking roller coaster from RMC. Standing at a massive 206 feet tall, this massive addition towers over the Poland countryside. One of my favorite things about Steel Vengeance, another similar roller coaster, is how in the third lap around the structure, the train then dives into the structure itself where the wood is surrounding you on all sides. This happens all throughout the layout of Zadra, where it looks like the wooden steel is just inches away from striking its riders. Combined with the massive elements such as the huge zero-G stall and other fantastic moments of airtime, Zadra does truly look like it's one of the best RMCs out there. We have gone over a few of the amazing looking attractions in Japan. We head back to Fujiku Highland for my most anticipated attraction in Japan, Eejanika. Eejanika is essentially the successor to the insane X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. While X2 is great, there are a few areas for room of improvement on the coaster's layout. Eejanika takes the few and far between flaws of X2 and provides one of the most perfect layouts you can find. First of all, Eejanika is enormous. Standing 250 feet tall, this would be a massive and intimidating drop for a more traditional type roller coaster. Now you hang everyone off the sides of the track and have these seats rotate in the most intimidating positions, and you have one of the most intense roller coasters there is. Eejanika is supposed to be considerably smoother than X2, eliminating much of the wobble that you experience on the outer seats. One of the big differences between Eejanika and X2 is the zero-G roll. While a zero-G roll is fun, how can this common element make such a huge difference? This is where the 4D aspect comes in to make this element absolutely nuts. While flipping into the zero-G roll, your seats start to rotate as well. So while you're doing an inversion in your seat, while the train is also doing an inversion through the roll. I can only imagine how disorienting this maneuver must feel. This insane roller coaster finishes with a high-speed flip towards the ground as you then flip back into your seats to hit the brake run. Eejanika does really look to be one of the most intense and crazy rides you will find. I really look forward to the day when I head to Japan to ride this amazing looking roller coaster that many say is one of the best, if not the best in the world. For number 13, we stay in Europe and head to Sweden to a zoo? Yes, interestingly enough, one of RMC's best roller coasters, Wildfire, is located at the Klamarden Zoo. So after checking out elephants and giraffe, you can hop onto this massive 184-foot tall RMC topper track terrain roller coaster. Situated alongside massive trees and rocks, RMC took full advantage of the terrain of this roller coaster. You begin with an interesting 270-degree turn leading into the first drop, plunging off of a cliff. The pacing of this roller coaster looks outstanding as it only seems to raise higher for its many airtime hills, inversions, or wave turns. Most of the rest of the roller coaster will stay very low, hugging the cliffs and rocks as it blazes through its layout. Wildfire's inversions look to be outstanding as well, with 3 of them scattered throughout its layout, especially the fast-paced stall right after the first drop. While Wildfire is not topping my list of most anticipated roller coasters, this may make Klamarden my most anticipated zoo visit sometime in the hopefully near future as I relocate to Germany. Number 12 might be the most hyped up roller coaster of all time. Luckily, by the time this video comes out, I will have had the chance to see if this roller coaster lives up to the hype or not. Busch Gardens Tampa is home to some incredible looking roller coasters, but none of them excite me as much as their newest coaster, Iron Gwazi. Slightly taller than steeper than the best roller coaster I've ever ridden, Steel Vengeance. While not as long, Iron Gwazi looks like it has a ton of amazing looking elements through its layout. Starting off with a 91-degree first drop and hitting 76 miles an hour, this is one hell of a way to start an amazing looking roller coaster. One of the most satisfying and amazing looking elements of any coaster on this list is the death roll right as the coaster is dropping off its third hill. One of my personal favorite moments on Steel Vengeance is the first inversion for how insanely smooth the Heartline roll is. Now doing this while descending instead of ascending looks to be such an amazing highlight for the roller coaster. Iron Gwazi is filled with the same insane looking ejector airtime that I love on Steel Vengeance. Like I said in the beginning, this is easily one of the top 2 most hyped up roller coasters on the planet. Will this beat out Steel Vengeance as the best roller coaster I've ever ridden? Personally, I think it will come close, but considering Steel Vengeance is 30 seconds longer, I think Cedar Point keeps the crown for now. Number 11 brings us one of the largest wooden roller coasters in the world, El Toro. Ever since its opened in 2006, this roller coaster has been in the top 10 for best wooden roller coasters in the world every year. It is massive, has an insanely steep first drop, and has some of the best airtime on any roller coaster, not just wood. This is a good reason why El Toro is one of the best in the world. After climbing 181 feet in the air, you then come plummeting down on one of the most intimidating and awesome looking first drops on any roller coaster. Coming in at 76 degrees, this is one of the steepest drops you'll find on any wooden roller coaster as well. After hitting a top speed of 70 miles an hour, you fly towards 2 massive camelback hills filled with amazing ejector airtime. El Toro's layout looks like it takes hints from B&M's amazing hypercoaster models, where the goal is just to send you flying out of your seat. After hitting smaller but still powerful looking airtime hills, El Toro takes a sharp left turn towards its twister finale. Changing directions any chance it gets, this section looks to be filled with amazing positive G's and pops of airtime anytime El Toro raises off the ground. The train is still hauling with plenty of speed as it hits the final brakes. El Toro has always been a roller coaster hyped up heavily, and I'm sure one day when I'm in the New Jersey area, I will have to make it a great adventure for this incredible looking roller coaster, where I fully expect this roller coaster to live up the hype. Back in 2010, Universal took a big gamble bringing to life one of the most beloved franchises, opening up the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Universal's gamble more than paid off, with their attendance skyrocketing from 4.6 million guests in 2009 to 7.6 million in 2011, changing the theme park world forever in the process. After hitting a grand slam, Universal's next move was to do it all over again. So in 2014, Universal Studios Florida opened up Diagon Alley, directly connecting the already incredible land at Islands Adventure to another famous land from the Wizarding World. Anchoring the next generation hyper-immersive land is Harry Potter and Escape from Gringotts. While watching Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione break into Gringotts to retrieve one of Voldemort's 7 Horcruxes, I immediately thought this whole set piece would make an incredible attraction. Evidently, Universal Creative thought the exact same thing, as Escape from Gringotts is based on this highly thrilling set piece. Starting off with one of the most impressive cues I've ever seen, the entrance to Gringotts looks identical as it does in the film, sprinkled in with some simple yet very convincing looking goblin animatronics. You head deeper into Gringotts into some convincing looking elevators, truly selling the illusion that you're heading deeper into the vaults of Gringotts. While this is technically a roller coaster, it is mainly used as a transportation method between set pieces, sprinkling in some thrill as you head from screen to screen. Starting off with a bang, you meet up with Bellatrix, where she then sends you into a tilt track to go deeper into Gringotts. Fighting off trolls and eventually fighting Voldemort himself, this attraction really does have some incredible set pieces to tell its story. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts seems to be the perfect attraction to anchor this incredible looking land. Number 9 is arguably the most intense roller coaster ever built, Intimidator 305. Not to be confused with the similarly named but also amazing Intimidator at Carowinds. In reality, these two coasters only really share a name and red track. Everything else about these two coasters could not be any more different. While not the tallest Giga Coaster out there, Intimidator 305 focuses on 2 things, speed and intensity. This thing just rips through its course. From the moment you head down the 300-foot drop, I-305 will hug the ground, only rising to the sky a few times. Intimidator 305 will make extremely snappy and fast direction changes, similar to Maverick at Cedar Point, just taking them at extremely fast speeds. On a hot summer day, Intimidator 305 looks like it just screams into the final brake run. As a result, the positive Gs are extremely intense, and in reality, this coaster is not for everyone. I myself love intense rides, but I even wonder if this is too much for me. When the ride opened up, I-305 was so intense that the original turnaround after the main drop had to be reprofiled due to the guests experiencing long periods of graying out. Nevertheless, I do think that whenever I do make it onto this roller coaster, it'll be one of my personal favorites. Heading back to Energylandia is one of my most anticipated roller coasters anywhere, Hyperion. This intimate hypercoaster looks like it's one of the best coasters on the planet. Like most hypercoasters, they focus on airtime, however, Hyperion does a few things to make itself stand out. Mainly thanks to its dive loop turnaround. Finding inversions on a hypercoaster is extremely rare. This roller coaster is also massive, standing 253 feet tall and dropping 269 feet into a tunnel. Hyperion is the tallest and fastest hypercoaster out there. Reaching a top speed of 88 miles an hour, Hyperion blazes through its course. After the first couple of large airtime hills, Hyperion will mainly stay close to the ground during its second half. Hugging the ground with high bank turns, the speed and pacing of Hyperion really looks to shine during its second half. By the time you hit the final brakes, you have covered nearly a mile of track in just 50 seconds. Along with Zadra, Hyperion looks to make an incredible lineup for the quickly improving Energylandia. Maverick at Cedar Point is one of my all-time favorite roller coasters. The multiple launches and very fast twists and turns along Lake Erie is very hard to beat. So when Phantasialand basically takes Maverick and adds insane theming around the entire roller coaster, this truly might end up being one of the best in the world. Taron just visually looks impressive. As I stated, the rockwork looks just incredible. Along with the waterfalls, the coaster flies right over. This truly does look like Phantasialand built a roller coaster in some already existing volcanic rock. This level of theming rivals Disney and Universal. It's that impressive looking. While not as intense looking as Maverick, this layout does look absolutely outstanding. Starting off with the forceful launch that gets things going, the roller coaster then spends its time weaving in and out of all the rockwork and Viking buildings built into the land. When the second launch hits, Taron will hit an impressive top speed of 72 miles an hour, which is actually slightly faster than Maverick's 70 miles an hour. This is extremely impressive for a ride that doesn't even top 100 feet. You then pull up right next to a waterfall, which I imagine has to give such an incredible mist effect. The finale of the roller coaster is spent whipping around the course while it's continuously changing direction. This may be the best fully themed roller coaster once you factor in theming and thrill level. But there are a few others later on this list that are for sure looking to dethrone Expedition Everest for myself as my favorite fully themed roller coaster. I really look forward to having Taron and Phantasialand in my new home country of Germany. The Beast of Kings Island has been my favorite wooden roller coaster ever since riding it for the first time in 2011. I know there are much better wooden roller coasters out there, and I personally have ridden better wooden roller coasters myself, so I know it'd have to be something truly special to dethrone the Beast as my personal favorite. Holiday World is known for its collection of wooden roller coasters. The Raven and the Legend are two incredible CCI wooden roller coasters that put this park that is even older than Disneyland on the map. In 2006, Holiday World built something I am 100% convinced would dethrone the Beast as my personal favorite, and that is the Voyage. Consistently ranked as one of the best wooden roller coasters in the world, the Voyage is a massive coaster built by the then new manufacturer, the Gravity Group. Filled with tons of floater airtime, the Voyage has a huge out and back layout focusing on massive airtime hills at first, diving through tunnels while racing through the woods. The Voyage arguably has one of the best turnaround sections on any roller coaster. Nicknamed the Spaghetti Bowl, the Voyage takes its time turning around with the high speed and low to the ground turns, some of which reach a then record for a wooden roller coaster of 90 degrees, before finally reaching the mid-course brake run that begins your journey back to the station. What the riders probably did not realize that the Voyage had been climbing up a hill this whole time, and now the roller coaster takes advantage of the terrain and picks up speed heading back to the station. Sticking much closer to the ground this time, the Voyage focuses on low to the ground passes and tight turns as the train goes faster and faster. One final 90-degree turn and then you fly over the lift hill into the Twister finale. After 6,442 feet of insane wooden track, you finally hit the brake run and end your voyage. Holiday World does seem like a very special and unique park, filled with other amazing wooden roller coasters. However, the Voyage truly put this park on the map for me, and I would love to someday make a trip down to Indiana to ride my most anticipated wooden roller coaster. Pirates of the Caribbean has been an attraction that's been around since 1967, ever since the original opened at Disneyland. Over the years, other Disney parks have gotten their own versions, while not being clones, overall being very similar to the original. When Disney was building their next park in Shanghai, Walt Disney Imagineers decided to revamp the classic attraction and build it with the most state-of-the-art technology. In 2016, Shanghai Disneyland opened up Pirates of the Caribbean: Battle for the Sunken Treasure. This looks to be a perfect blend of the classic attraction with some of the most jaw-dropping effects to ever put in a theme park attraction. The attraction feels just like the original with a calm boat ride through some highly detailed set pieces. You then meet up with Jack Sparrow in one of the coolest effects I've ever seen. You then enter where there's an amazing blend of water and massive screens. This blend of the screens along with the huge set pieces look to completely immerse its riders. As expected with Disney's most state-of-the-art attractions, the animatronics are jaw-droppingly impressive and there is no exception on this attraction. Davy Jones in particular is one of the best looking animatronics I've ever seen. He truly does look like he's ripped straight from the films. After meeting up with Davy Jones, you're thrust back up to the surface in one of the most convincing looking effects of all time. You are then placed right in the middle of a battle where then you will somehow start floating backwards through a sinking ship. This may be the best dark ride on the planet, and I really look forward to riding Battle for the Sunken Treasure when I visit Shanghai Disneyland. Disney and Universal are in a league of their own when it comes to providing incredibly themed attractions at their resorts. Islands of Adventure is arguably home to the best fully themed roller coaster on the planet, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. While probably the worst named roller coaster out there, that seems to be the only negative thing about this attraction. Located in the incredibly well-themed wizarding world of Harry Potter, Hagrid's had massive shoes to fill as it replaced the beloved dueling dragons. While many were skeptical that Hagrid's would live up to the expectations of its predecessor, Universal creatives seemed to not only meet the high expectations, but exceeded them. Themed to one of the most beloved fictional characters in all of fantasy, you join Hagrid on an adventure through the Forbidden Forest, seeing many fun creatures along the way. While most multi-launch roller coasters have 2 or 3 launches, Hagrid's have an insane 7 launches along its over a mile of track. Sticking low to the ground, you zip and wind your way through the Forbidden Forest. Once you pass Fluffy, you find your first big surprise of the ride, where you hit a dead end and then make your way through the course thanks to a switch track you likely did not see. Immediately after starting your backwards journey, you hit the second surprise of this attraction as you meet up with Devil's Snare. Inside is a rare but highly anticipated roller coaster element that I've been waiting to try for years. You back into a drop track that plunges its riders 17 feet straight down. You then launch into the highest speed portion of the attraction, hitting 50 miles an hour, and then you hit the final brakes, ending your amazing journey through the Forbidden Forest. While not the most thrilling attraction even in its own park, Hagrid's is filled with so much creativity and wonderful looking theming that this is one of the attractions I look forward to most on my upcoming Universal trip. Hagrid's next door neighbor is possibly the most hype-up roller coaster of all time, Velocicoaster. While not as amazingly themed as its neighbor Hagrid's, Velocicoaster does have some outstanding theming inside its queue along with the first portion of the roller coaster. Creating one of the most picturesque backdrops of any roller coaster, Velocicoaster has one of the best looking layouts Intamin or any other manufacturer has created. Starting off with a quick launch to get up to 50 miles an hour, the roller coaster spends its time inside raptor cages twisting around and giving moments of ejector airtime as it dodges around the velociraptors. However, it's once you leave the raptor enclosure and hit that second launch is why this attraction ranks as high as it does. Rolling into the launch and accelerating to 70 miles an hour, you then fly up 155 feet to the top of a large top hat dominating the park's skyline. Immediately after the massive pop of ejector airtime on top of the top hat, you enter a huge stall over the park's walkway. Barreling out of the stall, Velocicoaster twists over the park's central lake, hitting wave turns and other twisting airtime hills to deliver amazing moments of ejector airtime to its riders. After Velocicoaster is done twisting around the park's walkway, the coaster hits the most hyped up element on any roller coaster, the Mosasaurus roll. While this looks like a typical 0G roll, this roll is actually designed to give you ejector airtime while rolling over the park's central lake. My mind can't even comprehend how that would feel. With the addition of Hagrid's and Velocicoaster in the past few years, Islands of Adventure looks to rise very high in my rankings for my all-time favorite parks. Phantasialand is home to many incredible looking attractions. We have gone over Mamba and Taron with their incredible looking theming that really rivals the best of the best that Disney and Universal bring to the table. However, their most recent addition is my most anticipated roller coaster anywhere, F.L.Y. or F.L.Y. I have never seen theming integrated so well into a roller coaster and its surroundings as I have with F.L.Y. Phantasialand opened up F.L.Y. along with the rest of Rookburg in 2020. This land looks absolutely incredible, looking to be one of the best theme park lands, rivaling some of the best out there along with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, or Pandora. Flying coasters have been around for about 20 years, with B&M bringing some of the most well-known versions. And even F.L.Y.'s manufacturer, Vekoma, has their own version of flying roller coaster in the early 2000s. However, Vekoma's new take is one of the most ingenious and cohesive looking roller coasters I've ever seen. Where on the outside and based on reviews, this looks to be the best take on what it feels like to take flight. One of the issues with older models, especially Vekoma's old model, is how long it takes to get the guest into the restraints and into the flying position. Vekoma came up with an ingenious solution where the roller coaster rotates to its side, along with the rider's seats into the natural sitting position. Then when the train is dispatched, the roller coaster will flip back into the flying position along with its guest. For the actual ride experience, I have to rely on people's testimonies along with the off-ride footage, because, believe it or not, there is no POV of F.L.Y. anywhere. This is thanks to the strict no loose articles policy, along with Phantasialand not doing an official POV themselves. Regardless, this layout looks immaculate, with 2 separate launches and tons of twists and turns. This might be the most disorienting looking roller coaster ever built, because even when you're looking at the track, it's hard to tell where this thing is going. Vekoma knocked F.L.Y. out of the park, and Phantasialand took theming to the next level with coming up with this attraction. I would love to see Disney or Universal take Vekoma's new flying roller coaster and take their own spin on how they would theme a roller coaster similar to this ride. Would they already do better than what Phantasialand already pulled off? We're not sure, but I would love to see what Universal Creative or Imagineers come up with, especially since Phantasialand has already set the bar so incredibly high. Back in 2015, the Walt Disney Company confirmed a long-standing rumor that they'll be bringing Star Wars to life, constructing a 14-acre land at both Disneyland and Hollywood Studios. Along with the hyper-immersive land, 2 groundbreaking attractions would open up to immerse the guests in the Star Wars universe like never before. One of the announced attractions, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, was my sure bet to be the star attraction at Galaxy's Edge. While I've had the chance to ride this outstanding attraction, the closer and closer we got to the second attraction's delayed opening, the more I knew this would be something special. More than any roller coaster, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is by far my most anticipated attraction around the world. This hyper-immersive dark ride brings things to reality I honestly could only imagine would be possible on the silver screen. Rise of Resistance is different from any other theme park attraction out there. Sure, you start with a very detailed pre-show that gets the story going. Instead of most other attractions where you then wait in another line before boarding the attraction, Rise of Resistance instead will have the pre-show continue from set piece to set piece all the way until you board the attraction. After receiving the briefing from Rey and BB-8, you are then escorted from the secret Resistance base on board a ship with a lifelike looking animatronic of Lieutenant Beck, who is piloting the ship. You then leap a 2 and immediately get caught in a dogfight with First Order TIE fighters. Stuck in their tractor beam, you're then forced to board their Star Destroyer. First Order cast members board your ship, forcing you into a lifelike looking First Order hangar, filled with tons of stormtroopers. The First Order places everyone into prison cells for interrogation, which then leads the Resistance breaking everyone out boarding your ride vehicle. Just a reminder, all this was before the ride actually begins. You then begin your escape on trackless dark ride vehicles with the R5 unit guiding you. Once you're spotted, this is where all the fun begins, with some incredible looking special effects where the blasters truly look and feel real. The next room is any Star Wars fan's fantasy where you enter the hangar filled with massive AT-ATs. Your vehicle makes a wrong turn, heading up an elevator instead of going down, making your way towards the bridge. This is where you first meet the impressive Kylo Ren animatronic. The next few minutes are filled with Kylo Ren chasing you down, and even having his lightsaber cut through the top of the metal roof you previously thought was safe. I have no idea how Imagineers pull off this effect, because it really does look real. Once you appear to have been caught by Kylo Ren, a TIE fighter crashes into the Star Destroyer, creating an explosive decompression that looks and feels real. After wandering around the battlefield, you finally make your way down to the escape pods where you and your vehicle drop down, making your escape back to Batuu. At this point, you board a motion simulator that actually drops down using the same technology as Tower of Terror, just at a smaller scale. Rise of Resistance truly looks to be a masterpiece of storytelling on an attraction, along with the most state-of-the-art special effects in the theme park industry. In reality, the main reason for my upcoming Disneyland trip is to finally get onto this attraction. Walt Disney Imagineers set the bar incredibly high with Rise of the Resistance, and I cannot wait to see what they come up with next. That's a wrap on my top 50 most anticipated bucket list attractions from around the world. Many of the attractions on this list I have actually ridden with my trips coming down to Orlando and Anaheim by the time this video comes out. In fact, 10 attractions will be officially crossed off this list thanks to the upcoming trips. 13 if I manage to get to Phantasialand by the end of the year. I'm interested to see where the attractions land on my upcoming 50 favorite attractions video that I'll have coming out later this year. In the meantime, subscribe to this channel to see more travel-based videos like this.